you know, the current board really has a tough job, and I don't. I really think that they're under a lot of pressure right now with this the current situation. That said, I do think we have a challenge when it comes to board leadership. We need a sense of urgency, and we need to come out of our comfort zone to provide more solutions. When it comes to enrollment, we can't deal with business as usual. It's a real urgent situation. And we do have to become better ambassadors for what does work. But there's other things as well. You know, parents don't think about the politics of charter schools or public schools. They just want their kids to have the best education possible. They're not worried about it. They're going to go to where the best education can be provided for their children, period. And to me, I think we need to look at things, you know, programs and efforts at charter schools. You know, what successful things are they doing? And we need to steal those ideas. If other districts are doing some good things, we need to steal those ideas. Absolutely, we have to be really thinking in those terms. And when it comes to securing funding so we can be able to deal with enrollment, we have to focus. We have to really not ignore the issue of funding. And this is not by no mistake. There are very specific things that the district does to get funding and to advocate for specific things with USD. Now, think about this. We currently share a lobbyist with other districts, which is great. This particular lobbyist, I understand, does some wonderful things, and he's a good person. This lobbyist also goes and fights the fight for, in behalf of other districts. That's a good thing, of broad issues. You know, a lot of districts share similar issues and challenges. Good, that lobbyist should go. But what happens when that lobbyist that we pay for, that you pay for as taxpayer money, with taxpayer money, gets direction from the TUSD board and says, that bill just doesn't cut it for our kids. We're opposed to it, okay? Then he goes to AMFI, and AMFI, that same that lobbyist that's shared, says, we're actually supportive of that bill. What's the lobbyist going to do in Phoenix? He's certainly not going to fight for TUSD, right? Every city, I mean, in the city we have a specific lobbyist there that fights just for the city. Now, Sunnyside School District 6 years ago remedied that situation by letting that lobbyist go. Now they go directly to Phoenix to advocate for their district. They go with parents, the superintendent, teachers, and they say, hey, look at our families. This is what you're doing, and you need to make changes so that Sunnyside School District benefits. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing if we had a lobbyist that fought for our interests? And we have to look at that and question that. Why are other districts making different choices? Why are they so ahead of us? Why did AMFI district already stop out-of-state funding? Years ago, I asked a politician, a state legislator, about this. He goes, what? You mean you're still doing that? Yeah, we're still paying for out-of-state travel. That really doesn't help. How do we get the biggest bang for our buck? Well, we need to partner. We need to avoid making decisions like closing Richie's school when Basquiayaki said, hey, the tribe said, hey, we'll partner with you. You know what? Performance was up at Richie School. We still closed it. The tribe said, we'll partner with you and we'll put up money. We still closed it. Okay? We still closed it. That was a very bad move. An override. Overrides. How are we going to pass overrides if we don't have the trust of the community? No, taxpayers are not going to be in the mood for passing an override if we continue to be fiscally irresponsible. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Salese.
Well, what school in TUSD is there a long line to get into? University High. University High. Nobody wants to leave that school. There aren't parents pulling their kids out of that school. Everybody wants to go there. Why? Well, because it's hard to get in, and the curriculum is rigorous. The course of study is rigorous, and the parents recognize that, and they want their kids to come out of a school well educated. It gets national awards, etc., etc. Well, how many kids are being pulled out of Pueblo or Catalina or some of the other schools? The difference is that the mindset in the rest of the district is Well, let's just put them in there and push them through and get them out the other end. And if, and if they don't learn anything, well, that's their fault. It is not, yeah, we've got a lot of electives in this district, so kids have a lot of choices. What the kids don't have is a definite requirement to get a good education. They are not mandated to do that. They don't have to do it. It's like there's some things, in life you've got to do. You just got to do them. Well, the kids got to learn. But if the adults don't toe the line, don't make them toe the line, they're not going to learn. If we don't have the principals making certain that the teachers in their school are teaching the kids so that they're well educated, they're not going to learn. And if we allow those kids then to move on, then the district is never going to have the credibility that the community, so the community will respect it, give it money, and stop the shrinkage. 5,000 kids in the last 10 years have left TUSD. You can call a Ford a Cadillac, but it's still a Ford. You can call a school a magnet, but if it's not a very good school, that label doesn't do any good. Labels aren't any good. We don't need a better website. We don't need a better communications department. We need better schools. We need to make certain that the basics are taught and that the kids learn the basics. When we know that they have to accomplish that, then all the Spanish, all the various electives that you can imagine, then they can partake in that. It's just, you got to eat your vegetables before you eat your dessert. It's not all that complicated. But if we make excuses for why the kids aren't learning, that's our responsibility, and we have failed them if we do that. We can call it anything you want, but we're shrinking the responsibility to our kids if we don't give them the basic education. And that's the responsibility of the board. And it's the failure of the board over these decades to make sure that has not happened. With respect to the legislature, well, we're never going to get anything from this legislature if we continue to behave toward them as we have. We're very confrontive. The district's too political. It gets into fights it doesn't need. It takes on battles it shouldn't be in. And we need to foster a better relationship with the legislature, not an antagonistic one. They got the money. You don't slap and bite the hand that feeds you. It's pretty simple. You don't need to antagonize the superintendent of public instruction for the state of Arizona if he's going to come and cause you problems. You need to work with him, not against him. He may not be the sharpest, stick in the pile, but you've got to work with him. He's got the money. How do you deal with the resources? Well, you got to deal with what you got. It's like everybody else, the district's going to have to figure out how to parse what it has, and you spend to the important things first. Your rent and your food. This in the classroom, that's where you go first.
Thanks. I want to say we're